I actually know for a fact that relationship with men is an addiction. And a lot of women don't realize that. I dated all the wrong men, but most of those men had what I wanted. They had money and they had marijuana. And even though they could be really, really bad guys, I would leave, but I would always come back. And then even if I got rid of him totally, I would pick another guy just like him. I said for sure my picker was broken, and because I did not realize that I was codependent, and I had a lot of codependency issues that stem from me being molested and never getting the help that I needed. I always felt like I needed to be attached to somebody. And so I was always in a relationship before I ended the other relationship. So I literally just went from relationship. I tell people sometimes, and I laugh about it, but it's so true. I haven't been single since I was 12. Except for when I was incarcerated. But I was thinking that was the first time, and since I was 12 years old, that I had been single. I always had a man, always.
When I got out of prison, I felt like I wasn't worthy. But a lot of it is that when you start thinking about you're unworthy, you're not lovable, all the shame and the guilt that you're feeling from the negative choices that you made, but also the fact that you feel like you can't do any better. And that by being single, basically is that scarlet letter on you that you're not worthy. So you can't even get a boyfriend. So you start trying to fill those voids with somebody. And it's the lies that you have to have somebody to be whole and to be complete. And it's learning to be okay within your own skin. It's learning to be okay with who you are, because God's going to eventually put that person in your life when you're ready, when you've healed yourself enough to allow Him to give you the person that you're supposed to have.
I went through some bad relationships because men is where I felt like I needed my love to come from. So, as a foster kid, and I already had that rejection on me, and I had been molested, and I felt like I was looking for love. And so the slightest bit of attention seemed like love, where I would get involved in the wrong relationships like that, and then I couldn't get out of it. I have a forgiving heart, a very compassionate and forgiving person. I would see the good part of the person, but I couldn't see the bad. I would choose to shove that aside and not look at that for what it was, even at my own expense of being tore down.
One of the things that was a really important commitment to myself and to God was the fact that I was not gonna do the shack up sugar daddy thing anymore, because they gave me exactly what I wanted when I wanted it, and we all know what we have to do to get it. And so have respect for yourself and don't do that.
Well, my choice in men was really bad, and so I always chose the wrong kind, either drug dealers or just bad people, manipulative people. I feel like that was self-sabotage, because I didn't feel like I deserved a good person. I haven't dated in a long time because of that, because I think I told you before, my picker was broke, and so I'm just gonna not choose anymore. I'm just gonna let somebody else choose me, and God's gonna choose the right one for me.
So, when you go to prison and you're on drugs, and you've been on drugs for such a long time, you're the dope girl, and you have hundreds of fake relationships, and you have this idea, this facade of they're so down for me, they're my friend, they would do anything for me. No, they would do anything to get drugs from you. When I was in prison, I really found out who was there for me and who wasn't there for me. And when I tell you I ended every single relationship, every single friendship that I had, they would even try to write me and be like, I can't wait till you get out. And I'm just like, don't ever write me again, because it's public information, so anybody can write you.
I'm very intentional today, very intentional, very careful, very choosy about where I go and who I'm hanging out with and who I talk to. I left behind all of that I used to know. And a few people have tried to contact me, and I've seen it, and they'll be like, hey, don't you want to talk to your friend? Like, they'll send me like a messenger message, Be like, hey, I heard you were out. And I just immediately block. I don't even bother to say, yeah, I'm out. How you doing? I don't open the door at all to the people from my past. It's like, it's not part of my life anymore. It's not who I am anymore. I've been changed, and I know that I've been changed.
So literally the day that I got home from prison, I'm sitting on on the couch, and I'm just feeling it. And a friend had known that I was getting out that day. And so she had came over with a loaded pipe and was wanting to get me high. And I just got home. And I had to say to her, no, like, you have no idea what I've been through. And to this day, I've never spoken to her again. A couple of days later, another friend came knocking on the door, and I could tell this person was under the influence. And it just got to where I had to move out of that house. I had to get away because misery loves company. And when you're going through addiction, we're miserable, and we need somebody to, bring us company.
My family, when I would talk about I'm changed, and, my family really didn't believe that because, oh, she's just in prison. She just needs money. She wants this. But when they really saw that I was changed, today it's like they're really careful. Like, they won't invite me to where there's parties and they have alcohol, or if I'm going, they know not to bring that out.
Setting boundaries with your family, sometimes they're not accepting of it, and they get mad and they get angry. And you can't feel guilty for that. You just have to take it to God continually, and just over and over, just take it to God. And we were talking about this earlier, but we're not anybody's Holy Spirit. They're not going to change to fit what we think they should be. And just you setting that boundary and being, just releasing the love of the Father, not even your love, but the love of the Father, because that is what changes people. His kindness changes people, not our kindness.
I remember my first day out, my family had a party for me, my own family. And I'm waiting on my daughter to get there because her father is going to bring her. And I'm just so excited. I haven't seen her in forever. I'd been gone 4 years. She was 8 years old. Now she's 12. I'm just super stoked. And I go to the backyard and everybody's getting high, taking shots, smoking cigarettes. They offered it to me. I denied. And my daughter gets there. And so the first thing I do is like, hey, do you want to watch a movie? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, we're going to let them stay outside and we're just going to go in the room and watch a movie. So she and I watched a movie together that night, basically asked everybody just to kind of leave us alone. So that was the first relationship I had to establish, because I felt like as long as I had her, she was my prize. She was something that I looked forward to every day of my life. I never wanted to let her down again because she's an innocent child who didn't deserve to be pushed on to be without her mom. I knew that I had to establish a relationship with her father. And in relationships, it tells you have to take accountability for the things that you've done. And I had to call him and tell him, like, hey, our divorce wasn't all your fault. It was also my fault, and I want you to know that you did the best that you could. And I'm sorry, and I feel like if I could have done things differently, it would have ended differently, and that's okay, But I just want you to know that I'm sorry that I couldn't be the wife you needed me to be in order to make our marriage work. And I understand why it didn't work, and I take full responsibility for my portion, and I just want to start over, And so I just, I ended them all. I just ended everything with the family, and I told them, hey, this is my life with my daughters. I had to learn how to have a relationship with the oldest one. She's 22 now, and the youngest one who's 15 now. But after 2 years of us being together, we have a beautiful relationship.
So when I got home and I was clear-headed and my heart was connected with God, there was no way that I was going to turn that off. But missing my kids sober was the hardest pain I've ever gone through in my entire life, because I'm fighting for a cause, which is not only about me, but it's about them. A lot of times people say, well, you got to get sober for yourself. I needed to get sober for my children.
because I didn't care about myself enough. But I knew that everything that I had been praying for, everything that I knew God was going to be doing in my life, I couldn't give that up for a moment of weakness. And so I remember often telling myself, here's my kids, here's the drug. I'm going to choose you every single time. And it didn't happen right away. It took almost 5-6 years for me to get them back into my life, to where I was physically with them. But my pain wasn't enough to sacrifice being with them again. So I'll do it all over again if I have to, just because the end result was having them in my life now, and they're really proud of me. They're good kids. I think it would have been selfish of me to say, I can't take this pain anymore. I'm gonna go use. No, every day that I even thought about it, I thought about them and what the main goal was. And to not ever let them have a mom that's incarcerated again. Yeah, they deserved way better than that.
So when I first got out, I made amends with my parents because we actually used to, I would manipulate my dad for money against my mom, or, vice versa. But when I got out, I wanted to have a meeting, and all of us sat down, all three of us, my mom, my dad, and me. And we talked about, if we have a problem with one of us, we're going to talk about it together. We're not going to, y'all aren't going to talk about me. I'm not going to go to my mom about my dad. I'm not going to go to my dad about my mom. We're going to sit down and talk about it. And I also told them, y'all can ask me anything about my past, and I'll answer you honestly. And it might hurt, but I'm going to be honest about it, because that way it's all out on the table. There's no more secrets. And so it was a tough week, that first week I got out, but we worked through it, and that's how we were able to get through that.
So when I first went to prison, I would see the women, they would be in their little groups and they had friends, and where do I fit in? I don't think that I relate to any of the women around me. I actually prayed to God for a friend, and I'm thinking of this like little suburbanite lady, kind of like me. And God sent me a woman that was an ex-crack addict and prostitute, and she was, to this day, the very best friend I've ever had in my entire life. And she's just truly one of those individuals that you see God. I don't know, she's also the one that talked me into coming into the faith-based dorm, and just kind of steered. I feel like God sent her to me,
I have an awesome support group. Actually, the leader of my Bible study, I met her one time before I went to prison in her Bible study. Well, when I went, she wrote me every week. I got letters and cards from the group, and we really became friends through a pen pal relationship. And now that I'm out and home, she's my best friend. And it's not just her, it's the whole group of women, kind of like the faith-based dorm was in prison. So God prepared that for me in advance, because I met this woman one time before I went in. She stayed in communication with me, and he prepared this whole group of friends for me. So when I got home, they threw me a homecoming party, and I met most of them for the first time. It's like the names on the card, I got to put a face with them. So that was really cool. And since I've been home, they've been my sisters. They've been my support. And when I'm stuck in my own thoughts and my own head, I have a safe group of people that I can reach out to. And that's been really important to me, because on a really bad day, when just for some reason I can't remember to go to God's word, I can remember that I have friends, to rely on and to help me through that, to carry these burdens with me. And it's amazing that they, I always think, that's so cool that y'all just love me for no reason. Y'all just love me because of what? It's nothing I did. You just love me because Jesus loves me too? How cool is that?
So when I was in the faith-based dorm, there was a lot of things that I had to let go of, a lot of people I had to forgive. In the fourth step in AA, it's doing a moral inventory, because people didn't do it to me, they just did it, because if it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else. We're all precious children of God, and some are sicker than others. And those people, and it's taken me a long time to recognize and realize all of these things that I've learned about people God's children, we all hurt people. I know that the people that hurt me had been hurt before, and then it just has been passed down. I believe there's generational curses that can be broke, and it's forgiveness. And it's not forgiving them for what they did. It's forgiving them because they're precious children of God, and letting that go. And no, it's not okay that you did that, but I'm going to just let it go, because so I won't be in a prison in my own mind. And God forgives me. Why shouldn't I forgive anybody else? Yeah.